Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second edition of the Astrology of the Super Bowl. Can astrology predict the outcome? That is what we are here to figure out today. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dayna Schmidt-Johnson. I am the resident astrologer and community manager of the Ritual Society over at Ritual Planner. If you haven't checked us out, please do so. If you will remember last year, I correctly predicted that the LA Rams were going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm here to figure out, can I do it again? Is astrology really a predictor in the outcome of the Super Bowl? So here's how we're going to break it down. We are going to look at 6 different factors, taking them all into account over the Super Bowl chart of the moment. So we're going to look at both teams, both head coaches, and both quarterbacks. All 6 of these charts compared to this main chart for the Super Bowl that takes place on February 12th, 2023 at 4:30 Mountain Time in Glendale, Arizona at the State Farm Stadium. Let's take a deeper dive here into this chart so you get a better idea of what's going on. And there is a lot. There are so many more factors at play this year. So we want to really break them down and look at each player's or in each position's charts and see how those things are affected. The very first thing that we want to take a look at here, this is the biggest factor of the Super Bowl, is the moon opposing Uranus. And if you have a 12-year-old boy mind and Uranus makes you giggle, it won't by the end of this presentation, because we're going to say it so many times it will no longer have meaning. So what happens when the moon opposes Uranus? We have unexpected surprises. We have emotional distress. The moon rules our emotions. Uranus rules kind of chaos almost in the astrology, in that it's charged. It's got like this electrical current kind of running through it, and it throws us for a loop at any given time when it's placed in proper transit with other planets. So this is the biggest thing that's going on. And this makes it really, really hard to determine a true outcome, because this is a wild card. Uranus is the wild card of the zodiac. And I feel like in this game, anything could happen. We have seen injuries. We have seen major events play out over the course of this NFL season, and this game is going to be no different. So this is going to end up with the feeling of, what is happening? Are you serious? And those 2 phrases could go any which way toward any team, and the outcome is really hard to figure out as a result, but we will do our best. The second factor that we want to look at is Jupiter. So Jupiter is now in Aries, over here hanging out, feeling the enthusiastic, self-confident leadership and risk-taking vibes. So there is some risk going to happen here. If big risks are taken, Uranus could either throw that for like a yes, that was the right choice, or no, ma'am, this is not going to work out. So Jupiter really is going to give luck in the right places to the right charts at the right time. Venus and Neptune, Sun and Saturn, and Mercury and Pluto, all of these 3 groups of planets are really going to play a major role in this game. Venus and Neptune are meeting up in Pisces. So Venus is, of course, our planet of love. Neptune is our planet of spirituality and things that we can't quite touch or see, but we have an inner knowing about. So our senses are heightened at this time. All of these players are going to have to really be in tune and aware of one another, right? It creates positive partnerships, good for teams in this situation. It also can create a sense of delusion, ideas of grandeur, right? So both of these teams are coming in with, I'm going to win, and only one can. So the Sun conjuncting Saturn comes into play here. This is occurring in Aquarius, which is a sign of individuality, a sign of thinking and really like thinking through difficult problems. So there could be some difficult lessons coming here because Sun is our soul and our ego, and Saturn is restriction. And those two don't necessarily play well together. So this is really like, you got to think and not necessarily put your heart on the line here. Although the Venus conjunct Neptune is going to want that. So it's really that toss-up. Again, Uranus is playing a factor in this toss-up. Which is it going to choose? Which is going to be the better influence? And then there's a sense of responsibility and hard work. If these teams have been doing the hard work throughout the course of the season, they are going to be rewarded in this game. Now, Mercury and Pluto are also meeting up. They're actually in two different signs, but they are so close together. Mercury moves so much faster than Pluto does that this is still a pertinent transit to pay attention to, because it's going to really have that tight mental activity going on, really creating an intense mental game that's happening out here. Power struggles are certainly possible. It's a game. It's the biggest game of the year. Of course, there's going to be some power struggles going on, right? And it can create some anxiety as well. So the team that can kind of keep it together, keep it up in their head and not with their play with their heart necessarily, could really land in the better position. At the same time, Uranus is that wild card. We never know what's going to happen. So let's take a look at how this is going to affect our teams. Okay, so the Kansas City Chiefs were originally the Dallas Texans. They were created, this franchise was created on August 14, 1959 in Dallas, Texas. So we'll go with that as their birthday of the Chiefs. So let's take a look. What are these 5 placements that we see around the zodiac, right? And they're in just slightly different placements, but they will, all of these outer planets that we just talked about, this moon opposing Uranus, Jupiter in Aries, Neptune and Venus here, Saturn and the Sun here, and Mercury and Pluto up here. We'll see the same position of those through all the charts because we don't have a time of birth for any of these, and therefore we cannot determine house placements and that kind of thing. But it is helpful to know that all the charts will all start with Aries right here, and then it makes it a little easier for comparison chart over chart. So what do we got going on for the Chiefs? So in this first placement of this opposition, we have some irritable and frustration going on because it's squaring with the natural sun of this chart, right? So these guys are squaring off with the ego, making some dramatic and unpredictable changes. If they're not adaptable to the situation, things could go awry. Jupiter is near their south node for this team. So Jupiter could be more beneficial here because this is a comfort zone. So the Chiefs are more in a comfort zone in this situation than the Eagles are. So that's where we're sitting. Venus and Neptune are actually opposite of the Venus and Mars placements in the natural Kansas City chart. So there is some going with the flow. There is some self-indulgence and some dynamic tension happening there, but that could actually work in their favor. With the Sun and Saturn, those are both opposing the placements of the Sun on the Chiefs side. And so the ego could really get in the way. There could be some challenges with authority. We could see some plays being challenged by the Chiefs. There's difficulty adapting to what is happening in real time in the game. And then we have Mercury and Pluto who are trining the Chiefs' natural Neptune. Okay, so this mental acuity, this fortitude, there is a spiritual and mental connection happening here. So if they can tap into the bigger life game happening here, they have a better chance of winning. So that is the Chiefs. Let's take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles, who were established on July 8th in 1933, a much older team in Philadelphia. They have not moved since. So this Uranus moon opposition is actually squaring off with its natal Saturn. This gives more restriction, more negativity, unrealistic expectations coming in here. So, you know, they're also, there's some pie in the sky thinking here as well. But Jupiter is actually trining with their natal Mercury over here. And that's an easy communication placement, giving good clarity for the moment. So they have some good communication going on within their own team that could help them as well. Now, this Venus-Neptune conjunction is opposing the natal Jupiter of the Eagles. So they're coming in this game having some fun, indulging a little bit. They made it this far. They were maybe not expected to make it this far. Neither of these teams were really maybe expected to make it this far. And again, some idealism that they're bringing into this. If they can keep up that positive vibe, they have some chance of winning here. So the Sun and Saturn conjunction then is trine their natal Mars. We're getting this happening right here. So they've got some determination and risk, calculated risk, the self-confidence, the aligned power. This is all like feeling really good for the Eagles as well. But they have some power struggles when it comes to this Mercury-Pluto conjunction because it's opposing the natal Pluto of the Eagles. So that's creating an intense energy here. And again, some power struggles. I see both teams having these issues. Unexpected issues are going to be quite common during this game. You know, that could be like a quarterback on either team gets taken out early. Again, giving us that what is going on here feeling that will really be out throughout the entire game. Just about anything could happen. And both teams here are pretty evenly matched. So let's take a look, deep dive here into the coaches. So here is Andy Reid's chart, the Chiefs coach, born March 19, 1958 in Los Angeles, California. His this moon opposition of Uranus is squaring with his natural Venus, the planet of love. So this is going to give him a bit of a mood, right? This not like this serious tone that can be difficult and unpredictable, you know, and he's just having kind of a hard time. He needs the freedom and he needs his team to really trust him in what he's in the choices that he's making. And if they can do that, they can come out ahead. So Jupiter then is actually conjuncting his natal Mercury. So that's good news. That's optimistic. That's happy. And that really is not the same, right, as this conjunction here, this, you know, this going on. So he's really, this is like a push and a pull and a push and a pull for Andy Reid. This game, ups and downs is really what's going on here. So that Venus and Neptune conjuncts then both Andy Reid's natal sun and moon, depending especially with the moon on what time he was born, which we don't know. You can see that blue line kind of crossing through. That's the entire 24-hour period of this day that he was born. So depending on that, you know, there is some pleasure, there is some fun, and maybe he's coming out and he's going to play the game to enjoy the game. This can be peace and harmony, but also a little bit draining in the energy, right? Overwhelming, exhausting, as a Super Bowl probably should be for any good coach. when we're looking at the Sun and Saturn here, they are trining with his natal Jupiter. And this is the most beneficial placement with the Sun trining Jupiter that he could really possibly get. That he has this most beneficial placement of all the charts. There's recognition involved, prosperity, fortitude, patience, stability, all of those things are really coming to play for Andy Reid. And then finally, this Mercury placement is conjunct to his natal Mars placement. So that's mental energy. That's the drive to achieve goals, super competitive, and daring, impulsive, making like rapid fire decisions, which is really going to be necessary during this game, of kind of unpredictable chaos. So Andy Reid's kind of got the advantage on this one in that way. But looking at Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach, who was born June 15th, 1981 in Jamestown, New York, he has also got some pretty good things going on in this chart. Again, going back to the moon opposing the planet Uranus. These guys are sextiling his Venus, his natal Venus, which is over here in Cancer. This is improving relationships. This is lively, fun, exciting. Like, this is a fun time for Nick. He is out here excited for the possibilities and what's coming. He's really looking forward to this. His Jupiter is square his Venus as well, giving more happiness and optimism. Squares are usually not really, they create tension, but when both Venus and Jupiter are involved, it's still a positive thing. So he's just almost just happy to be there. So gonna come out with that enjoyment of the game for sure. Then we have Saturn and the Sun here, which is opposing, this Jupiter, is opposing his natal Saturn as well, because they're so close. So this is a limiting influence, right? Both Nick and Andy have these like up and down charts that have multiple aspects that are competing against one another. So this, again, chaos. This game is going to be interesting for sure, because he's being pulled in different directions. Okay, now let's move to this Venus and Neptune. They are trining his natal Uranus right here. And this is just a really inspiring and exciting transit for him. Unexpected events, receptive to this unusual influence. So he's going to be able to make different decisions and kind of go with the flow there as well. It's also trining his natal Mercury. So there is a bit of a lack of concentration thanks to that fuzzy Neptune. But with Venus being there, there is creativity going on, mental creativity, and very social, very pleasant, very excited again to be in the arena. This fourth placement of Saturn and the Sun, they are squaring with that natal Uranus for him and creating the flexibility he needs to be adaptable, but it's also a bit of a rebellious thing going on. So he may make a really like out of left field call that could create upsets and surprises, and it could really work in his favor. On the other hand, with Saturn there, it's restrictive. This all goes back to the unexpected and the unstable environment that this game is going to be played within. Last but not least, Mercury and Pluto for Nick here are trining with his natal Jupiter. And so he's going to be able to adjust, have that optimism, forward progress. And the Pluto planet there is power and influence, success. He's, again, both these guys have good and bad going on for the team. All right, let's jump into these QBs. Let's see. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs quarterback, born September 17, 1995 in Tyler, Texas. He is the only person or the only chart that I'm looking at of these 6. And again, there are so many more factors that go into a football game, right? So many more players, so many more people involved than just these 6 charts. But this can start to give us an idea of what's going on. He is the only one unaffected by this moon Uranus opposition. It's still in the air. He's obviously going to be affected by other people who that is affecting more, but he by and large remains pretty unaffected by this transit. His Jupiter is trining with his natal Jupiter. So his natal Jupiter is over here in Sagittarius. This gives him considerable opportunity here. He's confident, he's balanced, he's excited. All of those things are coming in and gonna be able to handle the heat of the moment well. On the other hand, Venus and Neptune here are conjunct his natal Saturn. This is a disadvantage for Patrick Mahomes. There's some isolation for him going on here, hardship. He's going to have to give up his own personal gratification for the sake of the team. And there is some self-doubt coming into play as well. So if he can get over that hump, he's going to be in a lot better position. It also opposes his sun. That's like identity challenges and, lacking in vitality and health. We know he's had some health issues with it, with his injury, and clashing with authority comes into play here as well. So if he can keep those things in check, he's going to be in a better position. Saturn and the sun are trine with his north node of where he is going in this lifetime. This is a right place, right time mentality. He's got positive energy and focus that is going to be able to take him through the game. With Pluto conjuncting Uranus right here. Pluto is closer to the natal Uranus than Mercury is in this case, because they're in the same sign. So this is, again, unexpected changes, extreme volatility. Anything could go for this game. I keep saying it. It is 100% the truth of the matter. And Pluto is also trine his natal sun. So this is harmonious energy, showing off that he's a great leader, and rare and fortunate events can occur at this time. Mercury, going in here, is trining with Mahomes' natural placement of Venus. So that's making him charming and magnetic, as he always is, giving harmonious relationships. So again, with the balance, both good and bad happening here, more good over bad, especially since this is not going to be a factor for him like it is for everyone else. All right, now let's look at Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback, born August 7th, 1998 in Houston, Texas. And he is affected by this moon and Uranus opposition because it's actually squaring his natural Uranus and moon and sun, right? We've got this big square happening here between all of these factors. This is giving him an impulsive and volatile and moody vibe for the day, turbulent emotions, kind of going to be unstable and all over the place, a little bit frustrated, a little bit rebellious, and that can come with some unpleasant surprises. So he needs to watch out for this placement big time. On the other hand, he's got Pluto trining his this Jupiter placement. So his natal Pluto being in trine with this Jupiter is giving him power and influence, positive change, very opposite of these two that are working against him. Also in that placement is Jupiter squaring with his moon and Uranus up here, which actually gives him some good luck and optimistic vision. There's sudden opportunity that's going to come into Jalen's sphere, but if he lacks the vision for it, it won't work out in his favor. And then we get into the Venus and Neptune, which are conjuncting his Jupiter here. So that's a positive omen of generosity and idealism, but he could also lose sight of reality and kind of lose track of what's really happening. But overall abundance, happiness, luck are sitting on his side. But this is playing such a bigger role that I don't know if he's going to be able to come out of that. So then we're looking at the Sun and Saturn. They are opposing his natal Mercury right here. This is nonstop communication. He could be easily offended by something, cause or be caused by obstacles, delays. This is kind of a make or break feeling, right? This is an if or, like, it's just kind of a bit more chaotic. And then we add to that the Mercury-Pluto conjunction, and Neptune, his natal Neptune is conjunct with these guys too. So that's foggier communications, intensity, the spirituality and the creativity. If he can really flip on a dime, he's going to be in a much better position. But I'm a little concerned that it's going to be too little too late, and it's not really going to work out in his favor, in part because it also squares with his natal Saturn, and that's hanging out over here. So this is a very difficult transit of conflict and confrontation. If he's been, again, doing the hard work, which I'm sure he has, that puts him in a better position. But he's got some limiting thoughts here that are going to put him in a worse one. So he's not got the best chart for this day in comparison. So with all of those six, let's break it down a little here. What is that outcome between these six charts? Let's take a look first at the teams. Kansas City versus the Eagles. I had a really hard time with this one. I feel like they're super evenly matched as teams astrologically. So I almost can't choose. They both got ups. They both got downs. This is truly a wild card for the teams. Getting into the coaches, I'm giving a slight advantage to Andy Reid on this one, just ever so slight. Nick Sirianni could certainly have the better outcome here, but astrologically, Andy is just a notch above. And finally, for the quarterbacks, this is mostly due to the fact that Mahomes has nothing aspecting that awful Moon versus Uranus conjunction or opposition that is the biggest piece of this puzzle. And so therefore I'm giving the advantage to Mahomes in this case. All of that said, I'm putting my money on Kansas City astrologically. We will see what really happens, because this is the most wild card I think we've ever seen astrologically. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens come Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you all for watching. Fingers crossed, we'll see how this all works out in the end. Have a great day and a great Super Bowl.